Alright guys, welcome back to Legends of Evil, where I talk about villains from outside the comic books. And today, I'm going to be focusing on a villain that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I've never really gotten around to her. And that is Zoe Avez, aka Black Cuervo. Now, Black Cuervo is from the show El Tigre, the Adventures of Manny Rivera. Which, for those who are unaware of the show, Manny is this character who has this superhero identity called El Tigre, which he can switch back and forth through via a mystical belt. His father was a superhero, and his grandfather was a supervillain, and he's constantly torn between doing good and evil. And whenever I watch the show, I was like, just be an anti-hero, dude. You get the best of both worlds. Just Grey Jedi that shit up. But yeah, and there were tons and tons of villains, but one that really, I think, stuck out to not only me, but I think a lot of other people was Zoe and the Flock of Fury themselves. So, I know a lot of people are asking, why not just do the Flock of Fury on a whole? Well, that's because there isn't really much to Vulture and Lady Gobbler. There's not much to them, but there is some to Zoe, because a lot of focus did come to Zoe most of the time. Now, the big thing about the Avez family on a whole is that they have a massive, what's the word? Vendetta. How did that word escape me? They shout it all the time. Whenever they want revenge on the Riveras, they shout, Vendetta! I bet their favorite movie is V for Vendetta. Ha! I got to that joke before anyone else could. Anyway, so it's unclear as to who Zoe's father is, or, who her father is, or who her grandfather is, but they're pretty much, the Flock of Fury on a whole are pretty much the anti-Riveras, because all of them were spurred one way or another by the Rivera family. It started with her grandmother, Lady Gobbler, who was going to marry Puma Loco, Manny's grandfather, until he took off with another woman, and Manny's father, White Pantera, is basically the ex-boyfriend of Vulture, which is Zoe's mother. And Zoe herself got spurred by Manny multiple times, but she still keeps coming after him. Yeah. So, Zoe is pretty much a combination of two villains. She's pretty much Black Cat if you gave her the Vulture's tech. If you gave her the she's pretty much, I wouldn't say Black Cat. Catwoman's the better one. Catwoman, if you gave Selena the Vulture's, flight suit. That's the best way to say it. Although Black Cat might be accurate more, but especially current Black Cat, which I really hate. Thank you, Dan Slott, for that. Seriously, what the fuck? Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, Zoe is the youngest of the Avez family, and she first appeared in Enter the Cuervo, which I believe was the second episode of the series. In it, not only does she really care about Manny, but she has it out for his best friend Frida, who they have this long-standing rivalry between the two, which I can understand because I'm going to say something very wrong here, and I know a lot of El Tigre I know there's some El Tigre fans out there, but guys, seriously, Frida was a bitch. We cannot deny that she was a total bitch. So the fact that Zoe has this vendetta against her, it's probably, what it is, it's probably, she deserved it in some way, because Frida is kind of a terrible human being in some cases. So I'm not, as you can tell, I'm not the biggest fan of her, and I usually, my OTP is Zoe and Manny. Mostly because I like those two together. And it's actually like a Batman-Catwoman relationship if Batman decided to, have a little fun. That's the best way to describe, the pairing between Manny and Zoe, is pretty much, it's Batman and it's Bruce and Selena if Bruce took the stick out of his ass. That's kind of what we're looking at here. But anyway, in her opening story, Zoe was pretty much trying to get Manny to forget about Frida's party, and from then on she did become attracted to Manny, and several other main episodes surrounded her and her family. The following one was Ay Caramba, where they basically had a glass eye record everything on Pantera to watch him so they could commit crimes and get out of there before they could get to him. Well, in terms of other adventures, Manny also faked dating her, which broke her heart, and you also had her as a science partner to Manny and Frida, who were trying to figure out if Zoe was Black Cuervo, because, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but Zoe is one of the few villains few characters on a whole, not just heroes and villains, but on a whole, her identity is secret. Her family have secret identities, which is weird because they've been arrested a lot, so you'd think their actual names would be out there. I mean, that just makes common sense, doesn't it? Like, when a villain gets unmasked by the police or the superhero, they get put in the system so people know, so the law enforcement knows who they are. On the other hand, it's been said multiple times that the Miracle City police force is pretty fucking corrupt. So maybe they pay off, maybe the Avez family pays off, to have their identities wiped from computer systems. That's the headcanon I've got. That's the only one that really makes sense. Because, no, really, it does make sense that they would have their identity. If they got arrested as much as they did, that would make sense. So that's my rolling headcanon for why Zoe hasn't been, arrested, hasn't had her identity known to everyone. But Zoe, like the rest of the Flock of Fury, has this high-tech suit which is bird-themed. Cuervo means raven in Spanish, or crow. Yeah, it's crow, sorry. I'm not good with Spanish, so sorry. So Black Cuervo has a bird-themed suit which has razor-sharp claws. It enhances her strength. She's also a capable fighter and has a vast array of lasers, some of which are scented like raspberry or other scents to try to attract Manny. Which, by the way, I'm just saying, Manny, come on. I know Frida's like a wild girl, but seriously, you had Zoe throwing herself at you multiple times, and she'd probably treat you better. I'm just saying, it's very obvious she would be the better of the two evils. I'm just throwing this out here, Manny. Anyway, so that was Zoe was probably one of the best villain characters out there, and I know they really wanted to do more had the show been able to go further with it, be able to go further. But we all got that half-ass ending. Fuck that. And the show, the episodes with her were always some of my favorite episodes of the series, and even with the Flock of Fury on a whole. And Zoe was one of the few villains who had a lot of personality to her, and a lot of, dry wit. She had, like, this just sharp wit, like when they were doing a project to make a volcano, and she goes, now for our science project that I did all the work on! Yeah. But, so, Zoe was a really cool character, and, I wish, on a whole, the show managed to continue so we could see more, more of this character and the other characters in the series. So, yeah, again, and also, if you ship, Manny and Frida, that's totally fine, no ill will against you. I'm just saying that I really just did not care for that character on a whole, so if you like that character, that's totally fine, and like her with Manny, like her with Manny, again, totally fine. I just kind of preferred him with Zoe. Just saying. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Black Cuervo? You guys like her? You guys hate her? Comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.